part blesses TM. You cannot live a positive life with a negative mind. ANTSHI relan PANOF L part bless Tesham. And I want that truth to settle deep into your heart because so many people are trying to change their lives without ever changing their thinking. NT-rela pull umpafel part, bless TM. They pray for better circumstances, better relationships, better opportunities. Reladol PFL part BSTHM, but they keep waking up every day with the same old thoughts, and then they wonder why nothing changes. BLSTM, your thoughts are the doorways to your future. Ante-irel walpayanfel part, blesses TM. What you allow to run through your mind all day long will eventually show up in your attitude, your words, and your choices. And Tichirelaway pay enful part be less TM. I know this because I lived it. I spent years believing thoughts that were never sent by God, thoughts that told me I was damaged, and T-rel part STM, that I would never really enjoy life, that something bad was always about to happen. Verdal pi y unful part bless tlem, those thoughts felt so familiar that I assumed they were true. But familiar does not mean correct. Anti-rel PNFL part bless STM. The enemy does not usually attack us with obvious lies. He is much more subtle than that. He whispers thoughts that sound reasonable. PSTM, TF, logic and even responsible. He says things like, and T-railway, PAIF bully STM. You'd better worry so you'll be prepared, or you can't trust anyone because you've been hurt before, or this is just the way you are. And if you don't stop and examine those thoughts, anti-railway PAMF or part plus TAM, you accept them as facts instead of recognizing them as suggestions. A thought only has power if you agree with it. Until you agree, and Terravel be less Tom. It is just noise passing through your mind, but once you say yes to it, it becomes a belief. And TQ Railway, Pianfeful part, bless TM. And beliefs quietly shape the direction of your life. I had to learn that not every thought deserves my attention. And Techi Railway, Pianfeful part, bless Tishchim. Some thoughts need to be challenged, some thoughts need to be confronted, some thoughts need to be replaced immediately. And Tedere Lawar Pianful part, bless Tishim. Just because a thought comes into your mind does not mean it came from God, and it certainly does not mean it came to help you. And Tech T Ariel Po NFL part, blesses TM. If a thought steals your peace, robs your joy, or fills you with fear and hopelessness, you can be sure it is not aligned with truth. ANT Rel will pay in full part bless Tim. God's thoughts bring light, clarity, and life, even when they correct us. Negative thoughts drain you, weaken you, and allow parent full part bless TM and leave you feeling stuck. Think of your mind like a radio that is constantly playing in the background. Antish Israel Payam part bless STM. If it is tuned to the wrong station, everything you hear will sound discouraging, critical, and full of fear. Antish Payam part BSTM. You don't smash the radio to fix the problem, you change the station. In the same way, ANTH for LY PANFL part BLS THM. You don't have to fight yourself to death over negative thinking. You simply need to retune your mind to truth. That takes practice. And Tachi Rala Pay Feel part, bless TEM patience and persistence, but it is absolutely possible. I didn't change decades of wrong thinking overnight. And Tashi Rala Pepper, bless TM, but every time I chose a better thought, I took one step toward freedom. Many people say, and Tashi Ray Pay I am full part, BLS Tationum. I can't help the way I think, but that simply isn't true. You may not be able to stop a thought from entering your mind. And Warel will pay Y and I will part plus temp. But you can stop it from staying. You have the God-given ability to decide what you will dwell on. When a negative thought comes, until you worry all part to be less TM, you can say, that's not helping me, and intentionally shift your focus. It might feel awkward at first, but the more you do it, and takes you ALYPFL pairt, bless is Tom, the stronger you become. Your mind will eventually learn a new pattern, just like a muscle learns a new movement through repetition. And take PM FD part, bless is TM. If you want peace, you have to think peaceful thoughts. If you want confidence, you have to think confident thoughts. If you want joy, and Teshi Relo PAM Fupal part BS Teshiem, you have to stop rehearsing everything that's wrong and start reminding yourself of what is right. The mind follows direction. And Teshi Erlo PI and a full part bless Teshim, and it goes where you send it. When you consistently choose truth over fear, gratitude over complaint, and hope over despair, part, bless Tam, your entire outlook begins to change. Life may not suddenly become perfect, and take Warielmal PIFO part BS to CM, but you will no longer be at the mercy of every negative thought that tries to take control. This is where freedom begins, Antiashi reliable pi fl part beles thm. Not when your circumstances change, but when your thinking does. One of the greatest traps the mind can fall into is living in the past. Antia realoi full part beles tam. Replaying memories that God has already redeemed. So many people are physically present in today, but mentally stuck in yesterday. Anti-eshi were elwell pfl part beles tan, carrying regret, shame, and disappointment like heavy luggage they were never meant to keep dragging forward. Erala pianful part bul stm. The past has a way of speaking loudly if you let it, reminding you of every failure, every wrong decision. And T-E-R-E on B-I-N-F 12 opert bless estishtem. Every moment you wish you could redo, and the more you listen, the more it convinces you that your best days are behind you. Part bless STM, but the truth is, the past is a lesson, not a life sentence. And if God has forgiven you, and techi rael pianeful part, blesses tum, then your job is not to keep punishing yourself. I remember a time when my mind would constantly remind me of who I used to be. And taiki rael peniful part bless tam. Even after I had changed, even after I'd grown, those old thoughts would rise up and say, and teshariel lipanful part belas tm. You'll always struggle with this, or you're just pretending to be better. It was exhausting. And teshire wal people part belas tm. What finally brought freedom was realizing that God was not asking me to relive my mistakes. And he were ironful wow payful part belas tim. He was asking me to learn from them and move forward. When you keep reopening what God has already closed, you stop the healing process. Belas tim. You cannot heal a wound you keep touching. And Teta Erlnam FL part, BLS TM. Shame is one of the enemy's favorite tools because it keeps you focused on yourself instead of on God's grace. It whispers that you're disqualified, that you should stay quiet, stay small, stay hidden. Antiva Rella Payan FOL par SSTAM, but shame has no authority in a life that has been forgiven. Conviction brings you closer to God, condemnation pushes you away. Anterio Payan fell parpus STM. If a thought makes you want to run from God instead of toward Him, you can be sure it is not from Him. Antoshiral Payanfield part, Palestium. God corrects with love and always offers a way forward, not a sentence of guilt with no end. There are people who say, Palestium. I know God forgave me, but I just can't forgive myself. That sounds humble. Andita RLYPIM fuel part, Palestium. But it's actually a form of pride because it puts your opinion above God's decision. If He says you are clean, then you are clean. Anti-Irai PFL part Bileses Tam. If He says you are new, then you are new. Holding on to guilt after forgiveness does not make you holy, it makes you trapped. ANTA Ryapol part Bless Tam, you were never meant to pay for what has already been paid for. The past can teach you wisdom, but it should never steal your joy. Yes, ANTRALPUINFL part to bless Him. You may have made mistakes, but those mistakes do not define you unless you let them. ANTC RYLY POIF part bless Team. Growth does not come from pretending the past never happened. It comes from refusing to let it control the present. Andy Tei PMFL part blesses TM. When you stop identifying yourself by what you did wrong and start identifying yourself by who God says you are now, Techi Rael Pay IFL Populous TM, something shifts inside you. You begin to breathe again. You begin to hope again. Antia Rael Y Ply NFL part blesses TM. Every time your mind tries to drag you back to a painful memory, you have a choice. You can rehearse it and relive it. Anti Raeli PF part bless TM. Or you can say, I've learned what I needed to learn and I'm moving forward. Freedom is not denying your past. Ante were al payaful part. Bill S. Tim, it is refusing to live there. When you let go of what was, you make room for what can be, and that is where healing growth and true peace begin. Ante reliup IMFL part. Bill S. STSHMEM. Freedom in your mind does not happen automatically just because you love God, because you had a powerful moment of inspiration. And it's etchia reliup part. Biles TSM. It happens when you take responsibility for what you allow to stay in your thoughts every single day. And Teshir Elefral part beat Teshim. God has given you authority over your mind, but authority only works when it is exercised. And to Earl PFL part to be SSTM. Too many people are waiting for God to do something He has already empowered them to do. They pray for peace, yet they rehearse worry. And THRL PNFL part BSFM. They ask for joy, yet they meditate on everything that is wrong. At some point you have to stand up and say, and THRL POLAMF pot BLS TSHM. I will not let my thoughts run my life anymore. There will be days when negative thoughts come fast and strong. Teji roll away PNFL part bless TM. and you won't feel spiritual or confident or peaceful at all. That is not failure, that is simply part of being human. And the rattle F all part. The key is understanding the feelings are not leaders, they are followers. If you wait until you feel right to think right, and teshi ariel L and 5 pot bless espam, you may wait forever. You have to choose truth first and let your emotions catch up later. Many mornings. And tor aloi panifold part BLS tam, you may need to open your mouth and speak life even when everything inside you feels heavy. Speaking truth is not pretending. And teshi ral pile for part blestium. It is aligning yourself with what is real, not just with what is felt. And teshi ra effel part blessed happen. You may have to say no to your thoughts a dozen of times in a single day. No, I will not worry about something I cannot control. No. And T rolling and fail part bull STM. I will not assume the worst. No, I will not talk myself out of hope. Every time you resist a negative thought, and tish rail ball pay up f bull parrot bless best you weaken its hold on you. Every time you replace it with truth, you build a new mental pathway. Over time, and teach roll up off all part blesses tsem. What once felt like a struggle becomes a habit, and what once felt unnatural becomes normal. Peace is available, and tishir loi pay l bless tm, but it must be protected. Your mind is not a playground for every thought that wants to pass through. It is a place of stewardship. And tishirei payamf ulpert bls tish you decide what gets attention and what gets dismissed. That means being careful about what you listen to, what you watch. Boam full part bsstem, and what conversations you allow to shape your thinking. And tishira ll pi and full part bless thm. You cannot fill your mind with negativity all day and expect to have faith at night. What you feed grows and what you starve weakens. And techi area ll pi and fell part bs tem. Choosing freedom is a daily decision. Some days you will do it well, and other days you will have to start over, and that is okay. And L part blesses TM. Growth is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Each time you choose peace over panic, truth over fear, and trust over control, and STM, you step further in the life God intended for you. A free mind is not the absence of challenges. And PNFL part BSSTM. It is the presence of confidence that no matter what comes, you do not have to lose your peace or your joy to it.